And welcome into the task force. What a special show we have today. Not only do we have a Michigan sporting legend, not only do we have Tony Paul, and of course, Dan Leach the Squatch, but we've got it live from that Michigan sporting legends RV, getting ready for the Ally Challenge at Warwick Hills and Grand Lake. It's the pride of Pontiac, the king of Michigan, PGA pro Tom Gillis. Tom, it's great to see you.
Hey, guys. How are you? You doing all right?
Tony, always a pleasure, my friend.
Dan?
Tony's live from his new digs, Tom, and his house in Oak Park. It's a pretty sick setup.
We're in Oak Park these days. Oak Park.
Okay, good. I like it.
I live just about everywhere in Michigan, so I had to cross this one off the list. So
now, Tom, you are in what I can only describe as
Groveland. We're about 5 miles from Warwick. We're in Groveland Township.
And maybe the nicest RV I've ever seen.
No.
That's pretty sick. Show the people for a second when they got it. Can you show the people a little long view?
Yeah. You got it. It's a mess because you got 4 of us in here. It's 30 feet, but you got a king bedroom back there. So you can get the camera right. And shower, and it's got everything. My daughter's up there.
It's pretty fantastic.
It's kind of hard to tell. Yeah. It's hard to see in here, but it's cool. It's an adventure for us. We've never done it.
Well, speaking of adventures, Tom,
if the kids get bored, we got family, and because they can't come out and watch, so we got a lot of family around. So spend time with friends.
Got to believe in it. Now, speaking of adventures, you had a hell of a career, and I mean that when I say you're a Michigan legend. People that play golf in this state not only love you for what you've done on the tour and in your career, but just for you on Twitter and how good you are with just the fans out there. You're playing in the Ally, which thank God we're getting back to golf on the Champions PGA Tour on Friday. There's a Pro-Am tomorrow. Let me just ask you off the jump here. It's a crazy year, as we all know. What has it been like for you as a guy that's been involved in professional golf for a long time to have things kind of shut down, shut off, and then kind of started back up the way they are now?
Yeah, well, it kind of made it like non-existent. There was a bigger deal going on, I would say. And, when you look at it that way, golf really wasn't that important to me at the time. And it's just, you're trying to think about, it's just a new world, like we were saying earlier. And I think I was just more concerned for everybody, for that matter. Golf is it's exciting to get back, don't get me wrong, but for a while there, it was still is. You can't just, still there, but it's a change for everybody. And, I know the guys are excited to be back.
Tony, let me bring you in here, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tom, obviously the PGA Tour returned 8 weeks ago. The seniors finally getting around to coming back this week. Also, you guys are an hour north of Detroit, an hour south of Detroit. The LPGA Tour also returns this week in Toledo.
Yep.
But for you guys, and I talked to a few of you, I talked to you and I talked to Jerry Kelly, last year's champion, and some others. I guess, what was your thought going into this week? How did you anticipate things being different? Were you worried at all about the health situation, the protocols, the safety measures that the tour was taking? I guess just what was your outlook going into this week, getting back to this return to golf? Because we're returning to golf, but it's very, very different than you guys are used to.
Yeah, I know. Well, you're learning completely when every day it's something different. They've done a pretty good job, I'll say. There's a lot of protocols. They're taking temperatures. You don't even leave the car. Tested us, got the whole nasal thing up the nose, me and my wife. So
that's no fun.
No, I can't say I enjoyed that.
No, but you're safe. You're safe.
Yeah, I'm good. And I think, it's been first class. I got to say that. It's been organized. It hasn't been chaos. I can see they've been working on it. And that's probably a good thing after we were 8 weeks after them. You know what I mean? It was probably a reason for us because we don't have staff.
Right. One of the big differences between you guys and the PGA Tour has eliminated, for the time being, the Pro-Ams. You guys are playing a Pro-Am tomorrow, and I know you enjoy those. You get to mix it up. You're a great storyteller. You get to hang out with the common golfer and all that.
Yeah.
But it's also a lot more contact, or a lot more people that you're around that you don't necessarily know. I don't believe you're testing all the Pro-Am people. Is that a concern? I know you and I talked about that last week, but is that a concern or not really?
Boy, I think you got to keep your distance. You can't be hanging around hugging on each other after 3 birdies in a row, and you're still going to lose by 4.
That's true. By the way, we've got you showed the hat to us earlier. We don't know this user's name, but he says he loves the hat, and he shot a 73 at the Loop today. No one cares what you shoot. 73.
Well, people care. Right? It's just kind of it's really good for professional golf because we play so much golf. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like the guy that takes our scorecards when we finish our round today, I showed it to him. He goes, "Oh man," because he's got to listen to every story. He grabs the cards, and I'm like, I said, "You'll love this hat." He goes, "You should just put it right here on the table when people come in." So,
nice.
So it's getting a hit out there.
Yeah.
I only have one, so I only put it on after I'm done sweating.
That's all you need. Tom,
is this a good time then to go blow by blow on the 39 I shot?
Yeah, exactly.
Back 9
Let's go grab a card.
Hey, I was there, and the Squatch had some nice shots, but Tony was banging that driver, Tom.
39 on the back. Let's talk about it.
Wow. The good thing is you'll always have it in your memory. That's what's important. It doesn't matter what anybody else has.
But the next time when he shoots a 49 and I shoot a 38, then it's I'm going forever. Yeah, Tom, you were talking before we got started here about, you mentioned Jake Mean, the guy from graduated from Oakland U, won the Michigan Open a couple years ago, and Donnie Trosper from Michigan State that qualified 2 weeks in a row, and just what it's like for that first tournament. Do you remember the first tournament you qualified for on the PGA Tour?
Yeah, it was Buick Open. That's how I got in there, and I was just a little bit overwhelmed. You're just a little jumpy, Not everybody is, but I was just a little bit jumpy. I think it was kind of a big moment, and every time you did it after that, and the more years on tour, it becomes a kind of a habit. It's a process. It's your job.
When you look at the, we'll get back to Tony in a second here. The third year for you on the Champions Tour, and obviously you played a long time on the PGA Tour. Obviously, we know the difference as far as the fields. You have people that are a little older that are, this is a different kind of field than a PGA event would be. But what to you has been the biggest difference? Because they do, as you talked about a little bit, they do such a great job on the Champions Tour, and it's so much fun for the fans. And I love the interaction that I've seen at the events that I've covered in the past with the Champions Tour events. What's been the biggest difference for you?
Well, I think the Pro-Ams are what make this tour run. When I remember playing the Pro-Ams on tour, I was friendly in that, but your mind is still thinking about tomorrow and 4 days. I think the Pro-Ams out here, everybody has their guard down. Most of the guys have been successful, and they know it's kind of coming to an end, and they're real receptive in the Pro-Ams, and they're very laid back. There's music going, and it's very chill. We're all in carts. I think that makes a big difference because we're all in carts.
Sure.
On the PGA Tour, guys were getting wore out, the amateurs, by 11 or 12 because they don't walk all the time. So I think that's a big difference as far as the play. It's probably not. You're still 4, 5, 6 guys you got to beat now. The tour is even more than that.
Yeah, it's not like there's not great competition on the Champions Tour, Tony.
Well, there is, but right now there's these hot players. McCarron and Jerry and these guys, and it's only going to get better. Now you got Fear coming in there, and that's what makes the tour go. And it's a laid back. You can tell that Jim's more laid back, and you can see Ernie's more laid back. It's a different spot in your career, really. It's enjoyable, it's fun. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some other guys on the Champions Tour. Obviously, you mentioned Jim Furyk making his Champions Tour debut. Mike Weir, former master. Actually, they both turned 50 the same day, May 12th. But KJ Choi's out there. But you're 52. You've been out here for a few years now. The guy who is 62 is Bernard Langer, who's won 4 of these last 5 Charles Schwab Cups. How well will you be playing, and will we see you on the Champions Tour at 62?
Good question.
Man, I hope so, but it don't look good. To be quite
you've had some interactions with him. I think you told me about the time you guys he offered you a ride, private flight. You've had interactions with him, but what makes him so remarkable, even well into his early 60s? He was talking today about oh, he knows the end is near. Well, we don't know the end is near because he's still out there. He's still leading the Charles Schwab. He's still out there winning.
Yeah, well,
He's so special.
He feels it. He knows it. He knows just how you can move. I mean, he moves. Right. You know, I mean, all you're doing is judging your movement year to year at this point. Can you move well? Still move well? And he knows he's probably not moving as good as he did at 58 or 9. You know,
right?
And he can feel it, and he's probably has to work harder. I mean, that's what separates him is that he does everything he needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every day he does. He's done it by the book. You know, and it's a gold standard in a way. He's always taking good care of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes ready. I just saw him yesterday. We were chatting, and he's ready to go again. I could see it in his eyes. He's all excited to be going. You know, he loves golf, man.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Tell
us really quick that private jet story. How did that work out with Bernard?
Well, he invited me to fly to the U.S. Open with him years ago in 03.
Mm-hmm.
And that was nice because I was going, he was going, and we finished on a Monday in the Kemper Open. So he took me over there, and I was all excited. I had a really good tournament. I thought we might have a beer or two. And the opposite of that, and so, but whatever, you know, we had good fun. He didn't charge me or anything. So now he's living in West Palm. We're trying to organize a flight out of Branson in 3 weeks. So that's what I was talking to him about yesterday. We can get a few guys and try to get out of there on a Thursday night. Get Branson to West Palm is not easy, you know. And so I'll be on the month. I'll be ready to get home.
And so, Tony, you were telling me, Tony, we had a couple seats on that flight, right? That was last night.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's Tom was telling me there was no beer on that flight, so I'm not sure.
No, the first one there wasn't. The second one we had.
Listen, I'm 9 years sober. It's perfect. Just give me a monster.
You're good.
Oh yeah, you'd love him. He's a nice guy. He really is, and he laughs too. He likes to laugh. You know, most people think Bernard is Mr. Boring, but he's not. He likes a good joke and that. He chuckles away, you know. But he's a good man.
Tom, I wanted to ask you about, you know, just obviously COVID has been ravaging sports everywhere. It's been ravaging our world. And I really appreciate what you had to say about, you know, we love sports. We love what we do, but there's obviously more important things like life and keep people safe. But let's go back to before everything happened with COVID and golf itself. We obviously know last year Tiger Woods won the Masters, huge for the game. We have a lot of young guns in this game, guys like John Rahm and others that are really exciting. And, of course, is on your tour, and I know you play on the PGA as well, but on the Champions Tour, you got Tony mentioned him, like Ware, and guys like Bernard Langer, and obviously Jim Furyk debuting. When you look at the state of the game of golf, where do you feel it is right now?
Well, I think it's good. I mean, there's a lot of really hot topics going around. There's a lot of ideas. I think it's good. I think it's good to be having all those open discussions, you know. I just think some stuff's going to change. And, you know, more than anything, I worry about who's going to be in charge of the change. USGA, they make me nervous.
Right.
RNA, I'd rather go with the RNA, but the USGA makes me really nervous. So that would scare me. But there's a lot of talk. I think it's going to be for the good, though. I think golf will be fine, you know. I don't know if you got to roll, you know, the ball. I don't know. There's a lot, but there's going to be a lot of testing of that going forward, I think, just because I think they want them to be able to. You can't measure anybody if they're playing different golf courses. You know, I mean, lengthwise, and guys hit longer. It's not the same. They're not. I feel bad for them. They're the great hitters don't really get to see what a wind foot is, really. I mean, yeah, they hit it out there. They drive a good week, Roy and them guys, and they don't see the same golf course a middle-length hitter does. So I think the game's in good shape, though. Really
Tony and I, you mentioned, so Tony, you mentioned
great
39.
Coming up. A lot of great players coming up.
Tony mentioned his 39 in Oakland Hills. It was sizzling. But, of course, the South closed. I wonder what you think about them, you know, the redesigning, of course, the South, trying to get that U.S. Open. Do you think they'll get a U.S. Open? Should they get another U.S. Open?
No, I think they will for sure. I mean, I think what they're doing, they're going to get it done. They've never really made any dumb mistakes over there. They're pretty buttoned up. I think they'll do. There's a reason they'll get it. You know, as long as the Gil Hansen's doing the change, and I mean, he's the one the pressure's on. You know, so he keeps it in line over there. That's a great route and good layout over there. It'd be hard to screw it up, really. Well,
Tony, I want to go to you in 1 second. Before we do that, I want to, of course, thank our great sponsors on the task force, make it possible. Our good friends at AmWager. Sports has been a crazy year. Horse racing having a renaissance. If you go to their website, amwager.com, give them the promo code TASKFORCE up to $100 match bonus on your first deposit. Check them out. We love AmWager. Tony, let's get back to you. Another question for Tom.
Yeah, well, just kind of back to the state of the game a little bit. There's always the debate. Everyone likes to go, compare eras. They like to do this in all sports. Baseball, they like to compare Babe Ruth to Barry Bonds. And here we like to compare Jack Nicklaus to Tiger Woods, but also Tiger Woods' era to what's going on now, because I make the case, and you were out there for a lot of Tiger Woods' run. But I would make the case that today, you look down these fields, and it's just one great young golfer after another. You can list off at the top of your head, any great golf fan can list off the top of their head 25 great young guns out on tour right now. Where would you put the talent level in the game today compared to maybe where it was 15, 20 years ago? If it's better, is that just because of the body types, the length of these guys, or what's the reasoning?
Well, it's better because when they were choosing sports to, in high school, what they were going to play, or junior high, it was cool to choose golf just because Tiger was the most popular. Most of those guys are probably 25 to 28 years old right now that were making choices right around 12, 13 years old, maybe 10 even. So I think that's number one. And then they're more athletic. They train better, and, the ball doesn't spin as much, so they can create when they train, and they're training for speed. And the ball, and the clubs are spinning. The club heads are spinning less, and the wild ones, they're wild, but I don't know. It's just, that head was so small when I grew up on that 3-wood. I can just remember never swinging 100% at it. I'm like, you could miss it.
You thought it would break in your hand.
There's a little certain speed, like 75%, that you swung at, that you knew you could pretty much hit the face every time at. And, I remember staying around that area a lot. You just didn't do that, and they do that all now. So it is tough to compare them, though. It's going to be, the careers are going to be shorter. That's what I'm fearing.
Do you think, Tom, the equipment, obviously it's helped the game, and it's helped it grow for duffers like me that are 22 handicaps. Do you think that obviously has helped the game?
Well, I think we should bifurcate first of all, but I do think that it's great for the amateurs. I think they should have every advantage they get so they can enjoy the game more. And for us, I wish we were on our own set of standards, but I would like to see that. But I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. I think any way you can help the amateurs. That's why I wasn't big on the long putter thing. I'm like, you shouldn't have banned it. You should have done it in 1980, whatever. Now you didn't do it, and older people are putting and practicing, going out the putting green, killing time every night, and play their league or whatever. Now they can't use it.
Yeah,
it helps their back. That's like, I don't get it.
Well, the other day at Oakland Hills,
that's a story for another day. So.
Yeah, the other day at Oakland Hills, we did play with Oakland coach Greg Campy, who does use a long putter, but he doesn't anchor it. It's legal.
It's weird. It's legal.
But speaking of the amateur golfers, you get to play with some of them tomorrow. Give us, how bad are these guys usually at golf?
Well, it's a coin toss.
Not as bad as me.
It's a coin toss. You never know. The first thing we do when we get the card is we look at it. You see 20s all over the board. You look at each other.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough, long one today. Or you got a bunch of 4s and 6s and 8s and a 2 or a scratch. You're like, oh, these guys can play. We're going to move right along. Obviously, I'd like a better player. You know what I mean? But the fact we're in carts, it helps tremendously. Even guys that aren't good, because they just pick it up and they go up, and they're not walking looking all over for balls. It just keeps moving,
Right.
It doesn't really matter now, but it's fun.
Right.
That's why I really enjoy. I never thought I'd enjoy that about this tour, but I enjoy playing with those guys.
Tom, we got a few minutes left. I know you got you're busy, man.
I got to get rolling.
All right,
he's got to go there.
I got two rapid fire quick things for you. First, I just wanted to ask you, if you can tell the people what inspired you to get into golf. Was there a certain golfer that you looked up to? How did that whole story start?
Yeah, growing up a mile from Indianwood, my mom and dad played, recreationally, and then started messing around with them, but didn't take a liking to it. And then I went up to caddy in Indianwood and started playing on Mondays with friends a little more, and that's when I got hooked, and I just kept going, and it was a passion for me. 1 mile from my house, it was like a second home, and I just fell in love with it.
Was there a golfer growing up? Was it a Palmer? Was it a Nicholas? Was there someone you looked up to that got you inspired?
No, that's what's crazy. I never had an idol there, and even all the way through, like even into college, my first year or two, I just wanted to be a good a club pro in the state. I thought that was great. I saw Dave Zink at Indianwood, and he had a nice life. He had the winters off, played tournaments.
Yeah,
nice car, and he was nice. He played golf
Zinker.
Week. I'm like, yeah, that's me. I could do that, So I was thinking, I'm like, that's all. I never really had dreams of going to the tour until as I got farther into school. It just wasn't something I thought about every day.
Yeah.
Once I turned pro, I thought about it every day. I mean,
yeah. Speaking of that, and so I'll let you get one before we go here. When it comes to, and you've had a lot of great moments in your career, and obviously, there was that great run with you and Jordan Spieth at the John Deere in 2015. What was the moment that meant the most to you in your career?
I would say probably getting my card the first time. That was, we were 12 times in. We didn't, we handled the heat and got our card. That for me, that was enough at that point. If it ended right there, I would have said, well, we got our card. We played the tour. We got 1 year. But we stayed. And that was just a big event because that was the ultimate goal. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Some of the wins early on the mini tours to keep money flowing were bigger than any of the Jordan Spieth stuff or the Roy McIlroy.
Right.
That stuff was easy compared to when you're out of cash, and you're getting low. That's the real world of it all.
That's what keeps you going.
Yeah. I was lucky. I was lucky. I just kept somehow pulling it off, playing better at the right time. I'm like, okay, we'll keep going.
I love it.
Yeah.
Tony, you get the last question.
Well, for starters, that was $500,000 in the Jordan Spieth, so that wasn't. So
it was a chump change.
And you got to play in the British Open, so that was still a pretty big week for you. In the grand scheme of things, compared to our lives. But Warwick Hills, you played there a ton. You haven't had the best success there over the years. So this week you're gonna get it done, right? First place trophy.
Well, we're gonna. That's you don't tee it up without trying to do that. We'll see. It'd be interesting. I felt like I played good last year, and I feel like I've gotten rid of that. I'm kind of over that there. So, we'll see. I haven't played a lot of golf at the back with the winter. We'll see. I could see me playing really well. I could see me still finding my way. I haven't played a lot with the back with arthritis, so. I got an injection and we feel good. We'll give it a shot.
Yeah, well, no Bryson DeChambeau swings then. For
yes.
No, we don't need that. I wonder how long that's going to last. That hurts from when I watch it.
Well, the crazy thing is, and I'll just say this really quick, watching him at the Rocket, it's not just how hard he swings on the drive. He takes 2 full practice swings at the
crazy
that he does before the drive. It's insane. It's insane. But it's
still, I don't wish anything. But I still I'll take a Gary Woodland golf body, or Jordan Spieth body, for a long 20-year career. That's what I think people are concerned about now is you might not have stars because getting stars, they got to be out there a long time,
right.
And now these could be shorter careers, and we're concerned about that. I think people are, so the fan candidate, they come in for 4, 5, 7 years, they're out. And, you don't have that long run, and that's how the Champions Tour works. Because if you don't have that, you're not having that either. So, but anyhow, I got to get running, man.
All right, Tom, we love you. We'll see you up there tomorrow, and good luck.
Yeah, I'll see you. And what time are you going to come out tomorrow? Right around the Pro-Am, you were saying?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll be out there heckling you. Someone's got to be out there heckling you.
Yeah. We'll be driving carts in between your shots.
All right, great. I got to go to dinner. See ya.
Hey, Tom, thanks so much.
Bye.
Great, Tom Gillis. Tony, before we go here, very humble guy. You mentioned for us mortals, 500 grand. But, he really has had quite a story. And he kind of laid it out there where he never was thinking, per se, of being a tour pro and then got his card. And he's 52 years old. He's been playing golf since the 90s. It's a pretty incredible story.
He's got a really incredible story if you think about it. And Charbonneau and I did a podcast with him probably about 4 or 5 months ago that's available at DetroitNews.com where he talks more at length He had a little bit more time than he has obviously this week, and he talked at length about his whole career and some great stories on there, personal stories, professional stories. But I mean, he was bouncing around Europe, trying to get his card. He was going through a divorce while he was in Europe and coming back, and just it's really been this long winding road. But you know, I mean, he's not you know, one of the Jordan Spieths or anything, but man,
right.
When you think about how hard it is, not just, I mean, you look at kids like, you know, Jake Neen or Donnie Trosper, these are good golfers, and they're going to have their work cut out for them to get back out there again. I mean, it's just so hard to get on the PGA Tour and to stay on the PGA Tour, and he did it for many, many years, and now he's on the Champions Tour. I mean, it's really a remarkable career. He's made a nice life for himself. He's down, you know, now he moved from Lake Orion to Jupiter, Florida, so he can train. He works out of the Bears Club down there. I mean, he's had a nice life, and man, he could tell some stories. Check out that podcast, DetroitNews.com. Tells a great story about, and he talked about it in the podcast. So he tells a great story about how he found out that he was about to go through a divorce. So check that out at DetroitNews.com. He really is a great storyteller.
Yeah, no, and I'll tell you this, you know, he had his highest ranking. He was the top 100 golfer in the world back in 2011. I mean, he was in his 40s when that happened. So for people out there, I'm not trying to say everyone's going to be able to have a chance to make the tour, but if you're in your 20s or your 30s and, you know, things can come together, Tony. I mean, golf is the ultimate equalizer because you might be a good golfer, and within a couple of years, you become a great golfer. I know there's some that obviously start when they're very young, and you covered a lot of these guys. We talked about the Jake Needs and the Donnie Trospers in their early 20s that are qualifying for PGA Tour events. But that's why this game is great. There are guys that I know, and I know you know as well, that didn't play professionally until the Champions Tour. Yeah. So I think that's why golf's such a beautiful game because, yes, guys like me that are 20-plus handicaps, we're never playing on the tour or anything, but it doesn't mean that we can't play with a guy like Gillis in a Pro-Am or someone that maybe is a 1 or 2 handicap gets good enough to sniff a couple tour events on the mini tour, the regular tour. That's why I think golf's such a great game because basketball, football, hockey, you know, Olympic sports, most of us already have thought of that. But golf, you never know, Tony.
Yeah. Well, I'll go out on a limb and say you're not going to make the tour. I'll go out on a limb and say that. But you're right. It is a remarkable game. And it's, you know, there's so many great stories like this. And, you know, he talked about how long it took him to get his card and to keep his card. And here he is all these years later. And, you know, he had a great PGA Tour career. I mean, long, you know, he made a bunch of money on the PGA Tour.
Right.
And now the Champions Tour, he came really close to winning on the Champions Tour. And I suspect he'll probably pick one off before it's all said and done on the Champions Tour. You know, he might not be a guy competing like into his 60s like Bernard Langer is, but you know, he's had a nice career, and it just goes to show you. I mean, you know, hard work pays off. I mean, he busted his ass all over the world, but I'll tell you, if you get a chance to listen to him tell some stories, he has some doozies. Check out that podcast, and I highly recommend it. Not just because it's ours at DetroitNews.com, but he really opened up and told some doozies of stories that you'll really want to hear.
Yeah, and by the way, so listen, you're way better than I am. But if you're going to say I don't have a chance on the tour, I'm going to say neither do you.
No.
You're way better than me. You were taking those drives at Oak Hills with Coach Campy on Monday. Yeah, that was a sick round. We're lucky we didn't play Baker. If we played Baker, we'd each owe about $1,000. Yeah,
Coach Campy still took me he took me on the 18th hole. We were all square, and he flips a wedge up there to about 1.5 feet. And
yeah, well, he gave me 2 on that hole. I had him.
He was getting 2 strokes a hole.
It was sick. All right. I want to ask you a couple more things before we go, and I want to thank our good sponsor, Michigan's Finest. They're open now, Wayne, Michigan. There's their number. Their website's right here at mi-finest.com. Use the promo code. Tony likes this, DTM420, for 10% off online or in store. We're going to be up there tomorrow, T Squatch. We're going to be at the Ally at Warwick, as Tom mentioned. They got a Pro-Am, which the PGA is not doing right now. Obviously, these events are not as highly attended or sought after as the regular PGA events, but they still matter, and that's why they do. I mean, they still are very, very popular. That's why they're doing the Pro-Am. What can we expect? And obviously, people don't know they play 3 rounds, not 4, and they'll start on Friday. What can we expect from this tournament? We talked about Mike Weir being a first-timer on the tour, Jim Furyk being a first-timer on the tour. there's some big names in this field.
Oh yeah, I mean they always get some big names. The Champions Tour is a tour where most of the big names play most of the tournaments. They don't really necessarily play week after week after week like the PGA Tour does. There's some time off, so most of the big names come out and play most of the tournaments. So Fred Couples is not there. He's the one notable name. Not sure why. Could be COVID. COVID issue related. He might just not want to deal with travel at the moment, because he talked last year about how much he loves Warwick and how much he plans on playing every year at the Ally. He's not there. But you look at the field, I mean, Longer's there, John Daly's there, Colin Montgomery's there, Mike Weir, Jim Furyk, KJ Choi making their Champions Tour debuts, Angel Cabrera. I mean, you go down the list, and a ton of major winners are there. And so, I like watching the Champions Tour, because it brings you back to, I remember that guy who won the Masters or whatnot. So I think it's fun. It's good that they're having it. It's good that the sponsors are stepping up and still supporting all these events that are going on without fans. I mean, people need to realize that's a huge commitment from sponsors, and they're doing it all over the PGA Tour and the LPGA Tour and now the Champions Tour. That these events are going on, they're still donating tons of money to charity. The Rocket Mortgage, they're donating more this year than they did last year, and they don't have ticket sales this year. So a lot of corporate sponsors, which are local sponsors in Detroit, or in this case, Grand Blanc Flint, really stepping up to make these events happen, even if they're televised only. Golf Channel will carry all 3 rounds of the Champions Tour event. Golf Channel will also carry all 3 rounds of the LPGA event, which is going on in Toledo at the Inverness Club. It's actually the first of 2 consecutive weeks of the LPGA in Toledo. So it's great that golf has gotten back. They had that scare on the PGA Tour up in the Travelers when they had those bunch of WDs with Brooks Koepka and Graham McDowell and some others because of kind of a little mini outbreak. PGA Tour reacted very quickly. They put new protocols in place. They put in additional testing. They sealed off even more of the so-called bubble, and they haven't had a test positive since Detroit. So golf's getting it done, whereas you look at team sports, and it's not as promising when you look at how many NFL and NBA and NHL players are opting out, and the baseball players have opted out. The
baseball team's being suspended.
Marlins season hasn't resumed yet, and we don't know when or if it's going to resume because half of their major league roster has tested positive for COVID. So team sports are struggling. Golf vowed to get it right, and after some touch and go situations, especially up at Travelers in Connecticut, they adjusted really quickly in how they dealt with things. They clamped down on the bubble. They clamped down on social distancing. They additional testing, and they haven't had an issue since. And as far as we know, no positive tests out of the LPGA this week or the Champions Tour, as far as we know. So it's, golf's getting it done. And I like golf. Golf is a great sport to watch on TV, and it'll be on the Golf Channel. So I'm kind of excited to check it out. Interested to see how Gillis does. He did play pretty well last year. It's not been a course that he has played particularly well over the years. He told me that it's always an event week for him because he gets to play kind of like the host, tons of friends and family in town. Not really the case this week because there's no fans on the course.
Right.
But he thinks maybe that could be advantageous to him. So we'll see. But I challenge Friday through Sunday, Grand Blanc. It's on the Golf Channel all 3 days. So.
And it's great to have these events in the Michigan area. Obviously, you mentioned Toledo for the LPGA, but of course, Grand Blanc, which will be at tomorrow for the Champions Tour Ally Challenge. And, we mentioned Bernard Langer. Maybe some of the younger people watching Tony don't know. Langer won the Masters twice, 85 and 93, 2 tied for second to the Open Championship. That's why he's who he is, playing at 62. But let's get a Gilly win, Tony. A Gilly win in the Champions Tour's return, and we'll say the reason it happened is because he came on the task force. We know it's a karmic type thing.
Tom doesn't know this, but he's going to know it if he watches the rest of the show. But I have a file on my computer desktop that's called Gillis Skeleton, and what it is a skeleton file for when he wins, because I think he's going to win, and he almost won. Yeah. He almost won a couple of years ago, so I had a story written. So I just saved the story so it's ready to go if and probably when he gets it done. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. Langer, by the way, 41 Champions Tour victories, 3 away from the record. He played most of the European Tour during his heyday, so he only won 3 times on the PGA Tour,
Right.
including 2 Masters. But 41 Champions Tour wins. He's still getting it done at that age. He's in phenomenal shape. And he still competes on the PGA Tour. He finished tied for 24th at the Masters a few years ago. Still getting it done. So there's a lot of people on this tour that people will recognize. Like I said, the Montgomerys, Fred Funk,
John Daly.
You name it, they're going to be out there. And so it's a fun event. It's a lot more fun in person, as is the Rocket, as is the LPGA events. But we're not there yet. We won't be there for a while, but we'll get there maybe next year. But it's on, televised golf is better than no golf.
Who, by the way, was it Irwin? Who has the most wins?
Irwin has 44. Yeah. So Bernard is 3 away, and I suspect we'll probably pass him in pretty short order.
Amazing. It's 62. All right. Well, Tony, I can't wait to be up there with you tomorrow. Anything before we go here? By the way, let everyone know where they can follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, Tony Paul 1984. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to hear all about golf and other sports and occasionally politics.
And play with Leach.
Yeah. And you can get all our coverage at DetroitNews.com. But again, go to the Green Room podcast page at DetroitNews.com. Check out the Charbonneau and I did with Tom Gillis. It's an hour long. It was during the early stages of the shutdown, so he really had some time to talk. We appreciate him coming on here. I know he's got a busy week with his family, up in Grand Blanc, but
it's better when you have more time.
Yes, he opens up on the podcast a lot more about his career, the ups and downs, and not just his career, but his personal life as well, and how that kind of intertwined with his career. So he's had a great career, had a pretty good life. So we'll be watching, see if he can get it done on the Champions Tour.
The Pride of Pontiac. Well, we will be up there tomorrow. We'll get some more coverage for you from Warwick Hills, and we want to thank, as Tony mentioned, Tom is very busy right now. He's got a lot of things going on. So thanks to Tom Gillis for coming on. Follow him on Twitter. He's a great follow on Twitter, Tony, at TC Gillis. Big thanks again, of course, to our great sponsors, Michigan's Finest and AmWager. Check them out. Up to $100 sign-up bonus with your first deposit. And Michigan's Finest is open. And Tony, it's always an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend.
No, it's always great to talk to you, Dan.
All right, we got much more to come. Until next time, for Tony Paul and Tom Gillis, I'm Dan Leach. Believe in the dream. You watch the Task Force. We'll see you soon. Take care. Oh, yeah. Wash your hands. Spread love, not hate. Believe in the dream. Peace.